It's Friday. It's Friday. I'm so excited today. I've not looked forward to the weekend as much as I have today.
It didn't feel like a Friday till Amy really shimmied her shoulders there. Now I'm like, okay, yeah, now
That was
I'm
the best
on
part.
board. Now
I'm going swimming tomorrow. I'm very excited at a pool.
might be a little chilly out there for swimming, but still, doesn't matter. Sunny skies. We really got a nice couple days here in store. It starts with today being a hot and rather humid one. There's a look downtown. If you're planning on traveling downtown, just a reminder again, some of the bridges still down. They're rerouting some of the CTA buses, and Metra still operating on their Sunday limited run schedule. Even though it's a Friday, they'll do the same thing tomorrow and then Sunday as well. That should be the last day of that. Planning on getting back to normal next week. Temperatures are going to be approaching near 90 degrees across a lot of the area, cooler near the lakefront, and northern suburbs I think you'll stick to the mid to upper 80s. Areas like Joliet, Kankakee, you might get to the 90s. We will be more muggy than we were yesterday. Dew points in the low to mid 60s, so nothing too stifling out there. And then the dew points drop, and so do the temperatures. Let's look at the 7-day forecast. We're going to be in the 70s on Saturday and most of the day Sunday. Just a really comfortable weekend in store. I don't know if you could see Amy clapping there. You might have just heard my voice, but we'll get back to her when we get out of the 7-day. Hot, not too humid on Monday, too, so that's going to be weird. It's going to be 90, but not feel all that bad. But then the mugginess comes Tuesday, Wednesday, and what's happening is Tropical Storm Cristobal, which is in the southern Gulf of Mexico, is going to ramp up, pick up speed, make landfall here sometime this weekend, and then enter our area as a tropical depression. Just a lot of rain Tuesday into Wednesday as it zips out of the way. Then we'll warm up a little bit. But Amy, do that clap one more time, girl.
Yes.
Excited this weekend's gonna be nice. Hey, and our friend Emmanuel is on our live stream right now. Tomorrow's his birthday, so happy birthday tomorrow. It's tomorrow's Henry's birthday too, so great day.
Some of the best fan art. I've loved following him after he drew our pictures and
too.
seeing all the other stuff he's done since then. All right, so this is a great story. It started as a charity sing-off event raising money for the Boys and Girls Club, but when Rascal Flatts frontman Gary Levick's heard tech CEO Jeremy Green sing, he decided to help him with his very own album. It's great stuff, and Jeremy Green is joining us now to talk about his new hit song. It was released less than a week ago. It already has millions of plays. It's going crazy. He's also going to be joining us for our Instagram couch as well. Jeremy, welcome to the show. You're a little bit sideways. If you could rotate for us, buddy.
Better?
Yeah.
I thought you were sideways.
Sideways. Jeremy, how did this come about? This sing-off and then this subsequent fame?
Basically, I just challenged him on Instagram to be part of the thing we were doing for COVID. We were raising money for the Boys and Girls Club, and I went on there and challenged him to sing with him because I've always wanted to sing country music. His daughter saw it and got right back to me. And I was like, let's do it. And then it just worked perfectly. It was amazing.
It was interesting.
Were you
sorry, Felicia. I was watching the sing off with him, and when you started, I was like, "Wait, is that Jeremy?" Like, because I don't know why I wasn't expecting it, but like you sound like a professional musician.
Oh, I sound like a professional musician. No, I love that. No, honestly, I was really nervous because like he's such a good vocalist, so you got to be to hang with a guy like that. And I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to pull this off, but I mean, we did it. It sounded awesome, and it was a super humble experience. I'll tell you that. And he's the greatest guy ever. He's so much fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
But how long had you been doing music before that?
So I was in music like 10 years ago.
Okay.
I was like actually like the #1 artist in the world on MySpace when it existed, and then technology took off, so I had to bounce away from music to tech, which was hard. And I kept telling people I need to be doing country music, and everybody was like, no. I'm like, dude, I'm from a trailer park. What are you talking about? Like, and now I was able to do things my way. Hence the name of the single. Things started working,
Yeah, and the single's great, as you mentioned, My Way. Just dropped less than a week ago and 2.2 million views already.
3.3. I'm really pushing Spotify because that's really, the platform that really, really matters when it comes to music. And it's doing really well. It's got added on New Music Nashville, thanks to John Mark and the Spotify team. And it's really, really taking off. It's like been crazy to watch. I don't even know what's happening. It's awesome.
So what are you going to use your fame for now? I mean, you obviously kind of found it in search of a good cause, plenty of causes out there, I imagine, near and dear to your heart, but also, a burgeoning career, perhaps.
I mean, I've always wanted to be famous so I could just like be really awful to people. No, I'm just kidding. No, like when you have a platform, which is, I've always kind of had a platform, but to this level, when you have a platform, it's like your duty to do whatever you can to support good causes, to be a good person, to be a good role model. All those things matter to me, morally. I have a little girl, my wife, who mean the most to me. In fact, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for both of them, for sure. So I just really want to spread positivity. Everything that's happening, like people need love right now, So like, I really want to focus on driving that image and really just being kind to people, making good music, and just doing what I can to give back.
Do you think you'll do anything more still with the tech industry, or are you pivoting completely to music?
No. So yeah, I mean, my company's kind of like really taken off. In fact, there's some acquisition people sniffing around right now. I'm really focused on music. I'm also really focused on tech. I mean, why not be able to do both? I mean, in this day and age, why do you have to just pick one? Why can't I be a really good musician that happens to own a very successful tech company?
That is very true.
Get it all. I mean,
Yeah.
if you can do it.
I will say this. Sorry, continue. Sorry.
No, I was going to say you should start making some tech songs.
I would say that I don't think there's ever been a tech guy who's actually made a really successful music career. That's what I will say.
What does your wife say about all this newfound music success?
She loves it. She's like, you need to focus on this and do this. It's really important.
Really?
Yeah, like, when I have people from like other countries sending me like my records, listen to my records in like Dubai and Australia, like it's really crazy. You see like other cultures like sending you. I mean, I watched these guys in like a whole different country yesterday. They were sitting around smoking hookah, what is it called? Hookah in like the Middle East, listening to the song. And I was like, that's so crazy. They have that kind of impact, and like that people from around the world are listening to your record. That's what makes it cool, is like seeing that you're like, wow, that's just like humbling,
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome. There's nothing more I can say than it's just awesome.
Hey, had you ever thought about doing like one of the American Idols or America's Got Talent or anything like that before?
No, not really, because those guys. I mean, let's call it how we see it. Can you name more than 3 people who have been successful on Idol? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson.
Jennifer Hudson.
Ruben Studdard.
No. I said more than 5, right? So there's
You said
Kelly
more than 3.
Clarkson.
You said 3.
Okay. So let's say 3.
But we get the point you're making. We get
Kelly
the point.
Clarkson, Jennifer Hudson, and Carrie Underwood. You couldn't
Kelly
really
Clarkson.
remember the.
Kelly Clarkson.
Yep, Carrie Underwood, and Jennifer Hudson. You can't really think about successful other artists that really, because those things, they're a TV show, And it just so happens like a lot of people are good content for TV, but are they great artists? Those people that we just named, they're great artists. You can have a great voice and sing all you want, but are you a great artist? Do you make good records? Do you identify with your audience? Are you talking to people? That's what makes a great artist.
I want to see you do a sing-off with Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or something.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they wouldn't blink. They'd be like, you're an alien.
Yeah, right. So what's next? I mean, one thing that I imagine, you obviously have an understanding of the tech world and all that stuff, and now you have another platform. One thing, I don't know if you've ever considered it, but like teaching some of those thoughts to new people that is like to empower other people to enter the tech world. I know that seems like a lofty goal, but like that's something that you could give a whole new generation or a whole new group of people information and teach them to your ways a bit.
So look, like, as far as Zuck is concerned, Zuck gave me my first, shot in the tech industry.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but
No.
my company was the first facial filter overlay company in the world, which we built into Facebook to 900 million users back in 2015. So no one knew what a facial filter was until my company existed. So Zuck gave me a huge opportunity by building that out. So this is the second company. Emoji Chat is the second company.
Wait, is Zuck in your contact list? Can we call Zuckerberg right now and do
Zuck doesn't take phone calls. I mean, how it happened is I cold called a guy named Tim Draper after building this idea. I pretended to be the CEO of Google's assistant, got him on the phone, pitched him the idea. By the way, he owns like a $19 billion hedge fund out of Palo Alto. He flew me out the next day, funded me, 6 months later, we got a call from Facebook from John Lagerling and Sheryl Sandberg, who said, hey, we love this, build this product inside of Messenger. And by the way, I had zero experience in it, like zero. And before you know it, I was standing on stage at the FA conference launching inside of Facebook to 900 million people. They say that 1.9 billion people today still use the overlays and facial filters in every single platform.
I love that you call him Zuck.
Yeah.
You're like, my friend Zuck.
Yeah, have you, or do you have any plans on doing music outside of country?
Listen, I've explored a lot of areas of music like pop, R&B. Country is my heart. It's what I do. It's where I'm from. Like I was raised in Nashville. My dad was in a Leonard Skinner tribute band. I was in a Bobby Bear video when I was a kid. I mean, I have northern roots but southern soul,
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and I like that you just kind of seem like a regular guy. That's not so regular, right?
Yeah. That's the thing about me is like, part of the reason that made Eminem work and be so successful is that there was a lot of people that he was speaking to that came from the poor communities that were like, he was really like ratchet in the beginning, but when he started getting to the court audience, people were like, yeah, man, I'm from a trailer park too. If you want to reach people with your music, you got to come down from the ivory tower and play in the stands. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you got to be. You got to approach things in a different, like, man, I'm the kid next. I'm just like you. You could be me tomorrow. And without a shadow of doubt, you just got to go for it.
Well, you got to go for it and have some talent too. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't be out there just sounding terrible for sure, but like, yeah.
Were you said you were nervous when you guys did the sing off for Boys and Girls Club. How about making the album? How did he help you actually in making the album?
So Gary's very hands-on. He's like, yo, this is the song. That's the right lyric. That touches people's soul. He's very hands-on. He knows what records work at the right time. And he's like a counselor. Dude. He's like, hey man, you got to dig deeper, man. You got to get in there deeper. This is not the right song. You could sing about all that stuff tomorrow, but you got to focus on who you are as a person. That's why I love him. He's just the best.
Well, what's awesome is that this conversation is going to continue over on our Instagram page, and that's where you're going to be playing some of the music too. So get ready for that.
Sir.
Just about 48 minutes, he's going to be joining. I mentioned he's with B Pope, who does our couch concerts live on the Jam TV show Instagram page at 11 o'clock. What are you going to be playing, Jeremy?
I'm going to probably be singing some originals and maybe probably do Bless the Broken Road, most likely.
Cool. Awesome.
Nice.
Well, good luck with that, and thanks so much for hopping on with us here today.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. I feel truly blessed to even have this amazing opportunity. And by the way, I just found out that Chicago is my #1 market. So, yay, Chicago.
Go Chicago.
I'll have the best food. My publicist. By the way, I gotta do this. I gotta give a big shout out to Jill Schmidt and Jim from Jill Schmidt PR. They have been the best publicists on the planet.
Very familiar.
I love these guys, and they work so hard for me. So it's only right to say I love these guys. And listen, guys, if you need PR, you need to check out Jill Schmidt PR and Jim. Those guys are great.
I love you now.
Yeah, there you go. All right, thanks a lot. We appreciate it, Jeremy. Good luck. And
Thank
thanks
you.
for joining us on Instagram too.
Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Great.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
care.
Bye.
All right. Moving on this morning. How are you going to spend your money as Illinois and the rest of the world is now starting to reopen? Well, Kevin Clausen is the CEO of True Public, a mobile platform where millennials and Gen Zers can voice their opinions. He's joining us now with the latest on his latest survey. You changed your background a little bit.
Yes.
I had to improve it for you guys.
Yeah, we need some credit because after our interview, you've been on every TV station, going back. We're glad to have you back, but you need to shout out the Jam every other station you go on now.
The Jam started it. I mean, when I went on your guys' show, I was like, really trying to figure out what to do. So thank you for that. That was really helpful. It was great. That was a great conversation we had. So thanks for having me.
Now you're a pro.
Yeah.
I've done quite a few of these across the country now. It's been fun because we've been going into places like Omaha, Nebraska, then Vegas, then Tampa Bay, sharing the most interesting stats on each location on what's going on.
Yeah, let's remind people what True Public is. It's an app. A lot of young people use it. It's simple questions that are confidential, that are immediate, and it's addicting because I have it, and before bed sometimes I'm like, I'll answer a few questions. Why not? Because it's like a game.
I love hearing that. Thank you. That's a great endorsement. Yeah,
What is it
that's well
about
put.
it? Go ahead.
And yeah, and it's been really good. Here's what's made us really happy during the COVID situation. This has been so stressful for so many people. True Public's kind of become a sounding board for a lot of people's fears and angst. And even during the more recent protests, it's been a really great place for, I think, healthy debate, and a place where people aren't, shouting each other down, but are like really seeing like, how do people that are different than me view the world? And that's been great. That's been something really positive from it.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you are seeing like an influx of users.
Yeah, we're seeing an influx of users for sure. And then the other thing, Felicia, is we're also seeing a lot of people using it a lot more. I mean, people have a lot more time on their hands. I think Netflix and every media platform is just way up. I know news viewership's way up. So you guys are experiencing that. So yeah, people are using it a lot more. I think one of the more interesting things has been, as we've been tracking this week by week, there's been like an interesting story being told of how this started off more as an adventure for people and it wasn't that stressful. And then it became incredibly stressful. And now we have new crises doubled on top of it. And it's been fascinating to watch the data in such a strange time in our lives. I mean, it's a once in a generation time.
How have you been ensuring and continue to ensure that you get good representation across geographical boundaries, across racial, religious? How do you guys try and make sure that you get representation in your surveys?
Yeah, we weight the data. So True Public's slightly more popular with women than men, slightly more popular with Democrats than Republicans, but very close. So we try to mirror it as closely as possible to the census. So when we think about like acquiring new people to the platform, most people find us through friends. Someone just recommends it. But say we're missing a certain demographic, we can go advertise to that group on Instagram or Facebook and try to bring them in. Because you're right, it's really important that we have like a really representative sample of America, and that's what we do. And when we present data to the media, we always take a lot of care to make sure that that's as accurate as possible, and that we're making sure that it's representing not just a skewed view of America, because we always are going to be skewed young, which is okay. That's really the bread and butter of True Public is, the voice of young America. And that's really what we're trying to build here, is a way for young America to speak really honestly about their lives. I think the Instagram culture we live in, not to get on a soapbox here, but I think it's causing a lot of depression, anxiety. You're just seeing highlights from other people all the time. You're seeing them at a party, at a wedding, a new job update. What we miss is the fact that our lives are full of wins, losses, and on True Public, people are able to share more of the complete picture. They're struggling with something, they're struggling financially, with self-worth issues or anxiety, and they can share that there. And I think that is almost therapeutic in a way, to share that, even though it's anonymous. Even though no one knows who you are on there, to have some place to express.
Yeah. So let's talk about your most recent survey, talking about where people are going to spend their money now that everybody's opening up. Were you surprised by this at all? At 38% won't go back to a movie theater until a vaccine is out. 54% won't say they won't even attend a sporting event until there's a vaccine. Is that surprising at all to you?
It's extremely surprising. Here's the caveat we'd have, Amy, is when you're in the midst of a crisis. So from a research perspective, and we have researchers and data scientists on our team, we always caveat these stats and say, let's wait for more information, because that is how people feel right now. But we're still in the midst of, people are going to be going, I'm going to a restaurant tonight for the first time. People are going to start going out again. I think when you're in a crisis, it's so much easier to be fearful. And the question I think for us is like, right, a lot of people aren't going to go to sporting events. That's really bad news for the Blackhawks, for the Bulls, for the Bears. That's really bad news for those businesses, for those teams. But what happens if all your friends go? If you got 5 buddies going to a Bears game, are you not going to go because of COVID? That's the question I think we still need to monitor. Mm-hmm. Although I will say the one that's really interesting is gyms. I think the gym industry could see the biggest shift of all of them. And the reason being is our information has always shown that gyms are not something people are super excited about doing. Most, like 90% of people that have a gym membership don't even use it that often. So what COVID is doing, and what we're seeing in the data, is COVID's this excuse now to not go to the gym. Like you didn't want to go to the gym anyway. Well, now it's like, well, I really can't go because I could get COVID. And I think that could cause some gym membership cancellations, and it could change what workouts mean. You guys are probably familiar with the Peloton, right? Like it's
Alicia's got one.
Alicia's intimately aware of the Peloton.
How is it, by the way?
I like it. I suggest it.
Okay, yeah. So that's become an aspirational product for a lot of young people in this country, and that's increased dramatically since COVID began. So I think what's happening is they're like, okay, home workouts is a big trend we're seeing. And another big trend is work from home. And this could maybe be the thing that changes us economically the most. Young people like working from home. 59% of them are saying, I am happier working from home than I am working in the office. So what does that mean for commercial real estate? What does that mean for downtown Chicago and the Loop and all these office buildings? I think it's a little nerve-wracking for those people, but the funny thing is, are you more productive at home?
Right.
70% of people say they're less productive. So they're happier, but they're getting less done.
Right. So two questions. First, I'll start with the idea of that. Obviously, what you guys offer is a snapshot, and the snapshot changes as time progresses. Is there, and I'm sure you guys are analyzing it, but it's interesting as a user, maybe just I'm fascinated. Do you show these trends? Like if I answer the question, can I not only see that snapshot, but see, green light, red light in terms of where these answers have gone, just to kind of offer myself as a data nerd the idea of where this is going or where it's been?
That's a great idea, John. We're going to give you credit for that one.
I did the slogan last time, and now I need to just join the team.
Yeah, you should just join our product meetings and just kick some ideas in. No, we should do that. I mean, kind of the challenge here is, it's a good problem to have. We have so many requests for new features from people, and we're not a huge team. I mean, we hope to become a much larger company, but we're still, just under 20 people. So we need to be able to prioritize on what's more important. But you're absolutely right. I think showing the trends to the users is going to be more interesting. We're always trying to make this better. And I think that's actually a great idea.
Yeah, like a graph that pops up right afterwards that shows you a little map of where it's gone in the last couple of weeks. I need some money for that one though.
You need the GM logo just put in the bottom of the app on every.
Yeah, that'll be.
That would be totally fine with that.
So I'm thinking about, with everything being so fluid right now, like we gave the stats on what people are saying about the coronavirus and whether or not they'll go out and whether or not they'll participate in other events and everything. But it's so fluid because last week I would have said no to a whole bunch of things. No, I'm not going to a restaurant. This week I'm like, okay, where can I make a reservation at?
Exactly.
Everything is so fluid. I can't really see myself traveling in the month of June, but I might travel in the month of July.
Yeah, that's funny. And a lot of people it is changing. And one of the other interesting changes, and we'll see if this one flips back. When you talk to young people on True Public, we're always asking about travel. It's really an interesting industry. The ideal trip for most Americans was always going to Europe, the Caribbean. Those were typically the main areas that most young Americans. Because of COVID fear of an international flight, we're seeing a lot more of them shift their ideal trip to a Miami or a Las Vegas or an LA or something like that, which I think that's really interesting. There's some of these things we're looking at, and you're exactly right. Will it flip back? And the other one, and this one is just going to be weird, is what happens to people who are, wanting to leave expensive cities? Because if you can work from home, and we just ran a poll on this, 55% of these working professionals are saying, if I can keep my job but move to a cheaper city, I will. And it's a theoretical question, so we'll see if that holds up true. There's been a lot of turmoil in larger cities, so maybe once things get back to normal, let's say, it could improve. But that could be a boom for smaller towns that have great real estate prices, great rent,
But then they don't have all the cool stuff that we have in the big cities that we get to enjoy when we're not in a pandemic.
But if we don't go to the theater, do we need it down the street? But no, and that's the ebb and flow of it too. I also, in terms of using this data, I imagine it breaks down into, some people just like to see it, the users, it's a fun experience. Oh, this is how I compare to other people. I imagine some businesses, some people want to take it and shape their businesses to model it. But there's got to be this third group of people that love your data as a chance to show where maybe they can change people's minds or where the trends are going. And because I'm just thinking of like politicians, instead of reacting necessarily to data, or businesses reacting, trying to shape their messaging to counteract certain trends that are going in one direction or the other.
You're full of ideas, John. I think we're going to have a separate call. Call.
If this is too down the rabbit hole for everyone, let me know on Facebook.
Wait, is this an interview on the Jam or like a product brainstorm? No, it's true. I think with politicians, we're careful though. We're not going to work with either party.
Okay.
And the reason for that is simple. Imagine we worked with the RNC or the DNC and we didn't get the other. We don't want to have a situation where anyone in this country think we're nonpartisan, and we take that so seriously. Certainly they could use the app and like learn things about people.
Right.
How we do make money is like a McDonald's can load a question and ask a group of people and be like, hey, what do you think of this new product we're thinking about releasing? Mm-hmm. And the feedback for that's been great, because actually most people have pretty strong opinions about brands. And I think what's kind of been fun is to watch how, especially these young 16 to 30-year-olds are saying really strong opinions for these brands. And our argument to companies out there is don't run away from the criticism. I think the criticism can make you so much better. And if you're hearing like candid, honest, anonymous feedback, it can be a lot better than just, your classic focus group where people are more polite and complimentary.
Well, so I have a question, because that's interesting, because you're talking about 16 to 30-year-olds, but they don't hold all the buying power. Do they care that much about what 16 to 30-year-olds when 30 to 50-year-olds who have more money to spend?
Interesting.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So 30 to 50-year-olds have all the buying power. The buying power is very limited of younger people.
Yeah.
Here's the one caveat though. They kind of know what the four of us buy from historical purchase data. They have a decent idea, right? Things could change. Like John could change his buying patterns. I could change mine. You could change yours, Amy. But the question with this young generation is we don't really know what they're about. And I'll give you a good example. And when people decide if they prefer BMW or Mercedes, let's just say it's a luxury car debate. You can include Lexus there. Yeah, interesting study came out. Young people will see ads when they're 16, 17, 18 on those brands and make a decision in their mind years later when they can finally afford those products. That stays with them. So when companies are thinking about how do we prepare for the next generation of consumers, it is actually the most important consumer brand. They can't buy today as much, but they're about to form lifelong loyalties. If you become a Mac user at a young age, you can lock in, right, for years and years and years. If you become a Google user, you can lock in there as well.
It's like when I see an ad for a double cheeseburger in the morning. I don't get it in the morning, but I'm going to get that thing in the afternoon. Let me tell you.
Is that right?
Worst joke of all time.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Well, about the aspirational brand, it's just so fascinating. We must be the only station that only asks you about the deeper questions. What are some of the survey results when you see about actually spending money? So what, Amy, you said 38% only going to the theater. What other nuggets do you have from some of this recent survey?
Well, that's why I like you guys so much, because we can actually have a conversation. I mean, most of these shows, I might as well be a stat reciting robot. I'm like, 67%,
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, robot, do your thing.
No, wait, so your question again, I'm sorry. What was your question?
You talk about the survey of where people go, this movie theater thing, but what other nuggets did you pull from?
Here's an interesting nugget. So the movie theater industry is in turmoil. AMC's even announced they could go under, which I think would be a tragedy. We're asking an interesting question, and I'll propose it to you. Would you rather spend $20 I'm talking a new release, let's say the hottest new release, $20 to rent it one time at your home, or would you prefer to go to a movie theater for that experience?
Rent at home.
Oh, I love movie theaters.
Okay.
Felicia?
I could
what?
I like going to the theater.
Okay.
Well, and here's the data on it. It's almost 50-50. It's 49% preferring the $20 at home streaming. That's got to be really concerning to the theater business because, right, like they already have this uphill climb. The fact that I'm also for the theater. I love going to the theater. It's almost like a very peaceful place. But there's there's a huge group of people that already have their home entertainment system. What does that mean for AMC? It could be a new model for them. Another interesting one is online shopping. I think the online shopping revolution just got accelerated like 5 years into the future because of COVID. So we had a lot of young women in this country shop online, but they never shopped online for clothes. Why? Because they wanted to try them on in the store. What we've seen in our data is a new 34% of women in our country have shopped online for clothing for the first time since COVID isolation started. And most of them, nearly 90%, had a positive experience and say they'll continue to do so. So we've got this, like, there's a shift change happening where online shopping was always coming. The trends are showing it's coming. But what happened with COVID was we forced a bunch of young women to try to buy clothes online, young men as well, but especially young women buying clothes online for the first time. And they're like, it was actually a good experience. And then again, on delivery as well. When it comes to grocery, it's the same thing. A lot of people never ordered online groceries because they didn't want, it was the produce problem.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to get like a moldy banana
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
That was always the big holdback. But people did it, and once they did it, they're like, hey, it's actually not that bad. So we're seeing like an acceleration of the future in movies, in grocery, and definitely in online clothing shopping.
That's great.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
It is fascinating.
I could go down the rabbit hole. We'll stop it right there, though. Caven, thanks so much for hopping on by. And really, if you haven't had a chance to download the app yet, go to True Public, available on the Android and the Apple Store. No, well, yeah, I said that right, I think. And there's the website.
Webpage, there's too. And don't forget, just got to add that Jam logo to the bottom and you're all set.
John, we got to have a separate conversation offline, okay?
I'm going to message you at noon.
I'm going to take you for coffee sometime. We got to pick your brain.
Thanks, Caven.
See you guys. Have a wonderful day.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
I think it's fascinating that so many people like to just take part in those. Like, you don't really get anything out of it besides just, I guess, expressing yourself.
I mean, do you know how much I love studies, like my health studies and surveys? I don't know what it is, but I'm fascinated by them.
Oh, yeah. For me, it's all the numbers behind the scenes and what that means. And
Totally.
Felicia, you got another great episode this week of Job Hunt Chicago, I imagine.
We sure do, you guys. Make sure you're tuning in this weekend. It's a virtual job fair. Make sure you tune in to see all the opportunities of folks who are looking to hire right now. There are companies, even despite everything that's going on, they're looking to expand their team. So Saturday mornings at 10:30 on the U and Sunday at 4:30 on CW26. Make sure you are tuning in to Job Hunt Chicago. And of course, you can get some of the recent job listings that we've done on the show, on past episodes at jobhuntchicago.com. And if you are a business that's looking to hire and expand your team right now, we want to hear from you. So please put a submission in at jobhuntchicago.com. So we'll keep things going because given the situation, things have changed a lot, particularly for our high school students. For many students in high school, it's a chance to kind of dip your toes in clubs and committees and see where your interests lie. But for North Suburban Deerfield High School student Max Hyman, that meant finding a voice for teens concerned about conflict in the Middle East. He's joining us now, having just wrapped up his freshman year. Max,
you're going to be a sophomore and you are already tackling all the difficult topics.
I get that a lot.
Well, yeah, you couldn't pick a more tumultuous region, obviously, than the Middle East. What have you learned? What are you tackling? How are you doing this?
Well, I am Jewish myself. And in 2015, my family and I went to Israel. And in Israel, there were two things that really struck home with me. The first thing was that in the Arab quarter in Jerusalem, our family, we received looks and people followed us and people laughed at us. And you could tell there was a general sense of disagreement and some conflict there. And also when we crossed the border into the West Bank, which is part of Palestine, there was a sign that essentially warned us of the danger to our lives by taking that road. And so those two things really I brought home with me. And it, as a 10-year-old, it was very confusing to me why peace was so hard between these two ethnic groups. And obviously that's a centuries-long story, but as I've become more interested in international relations and social issues, I've educated myself and I wanted to do my part to make a change.
That is so awesome. At such a young age too. So you're going to do like do I understand, like a UN next year at school?
So Model UN is a program that is in most or many high schools around the country.
Mhm.
And I will be part of mine this coming year. But there's also an international online Model UN, which I've been taking part in, which features students that are interested in similar topics from all around the world. The reason I got interested in that organization was because they are based in Israel, and they're based with many of the children, the teens that I've been interviewing for my project. So yeah, they kind of fit together, which is really cool.
That is
How do you
cool.
get other people to care about what's going on? I think many are familiar with the conflict that's going on over there, but I think there are a lot that aren't.
So that's a good point. The first thing that Teens for Peace did was we did a survey, and I essentially shared that survey all over social media and to every American teen I could reach. And what we found is that teens really don't know what they're talking about when it comes to Israel and Palestine. And while I live in a very Jewish area, it still seems that there's a lack of knowledge. It's not really taught in school. It's not, of course, it's not as immediate as social issues in America, but it still has the same intensity or more. And people don't know about it. So I wanted to try to fix that. And I've learned that that's a big task to do because people aren't aware and many don't care.
Well, it's
Yeah, I
also such it's a complex issue going back decades and really has roots that going back centuries in some ways. But also it's very emotional, and there are two sides to this story, and it's a complex. And you mentioned teens not knowing. I imagine most adults probably
Adults,
don't know as
right?
much as they should, including myself, about the conflict. So how do you break down those barriers? Is it about teaching people first the history? Is it about engaging in conversation? How do you actually get people talking?
So the idea of Teens for Peace for me is essentially to educate and then to provide ways for people to make a change based on what they learned. So there are educational materials, including a timeline that we've created based on different sources, which was a very cool project. And there's also a blog that I've been working on as part of the website. And then there's a page in the website where there are links to petitions you can sign to make a difference. One of the petitions is for justice for a Palestinian man who was shot this past Saturday. And that drew a lot of comparisons to what's happening in America right now because he was unarmed. He was shot by Israeli police. And there are two sides to this story. Obviously, an event like that will show that people believe there are two very strong sides to this story. And people in this area don't really see two sides to the story if they see any at all.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something that was peace focused, not Israeli focused or Palestinian focused, but something that was peace focused. And there's nothing like that for teens, by teens, and for teens.
Do you I know you're on the debate team. Are you also on the speech team too, or no?
So at our school, speech and debate are kind of the same club. It's congressional debate,
Ah, okay.
which is very exciting for me. I love arguing with people. Next year, I'll be in charge of all the foreign affairs bills, which is very exciting for my team.
Yeah.
And I had a great experience this past year with it. I placed at state, which was very exciting for a freshman. And just in general, it's my favorite club because the sense of making your point heard and arguing and having fun doing so, it's
But
just
do you
it's my
argue
favorite.
with your mom and dad, and do you ever win?
That's a good question. Sometimes I'll win, but very rarely. Usually they would be considered the best debaters in the state at my level. So
This Zoom
so
call is like looking back 20 years into my past, by the way. Because Max, we share a lot of similar things. We had one of our director, Daniel, just put it out there. He wonders what your opinions are. Obviously, it's a really weighted question, but like your idea for Middle East peace, is it a two-state solution? What do you think in as quick as you can? What are your overarching views on that?
So obviously, it would take years to read everything you need to know about to make a real suggestion. But from what I know, which tends to be a lot, between articles and papers and etc. I believe a two-state solution is the only way to create real meaningful peace, because the historical and religious boundaries between those two people will make it that it is never possible for them to live under the same state. And looking towards July 1st, the Israeli emergency government is going to be moving forward with their plan to annex about 30% of the West Bank, which includes dozens of thousands of Palestinians and lots of land. And for the first time since World War II, the people who are being annexed, the Palestinians, won't be given citizenship. So, and only 26% of Israelis support what's happening. So it's issues like those that make me think there's no way they can live in one state. As sad as that is, it's impossible to see a future in which that actually brings lasting peace.
Ding. That was a great answer.
That was a great answer. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. Politician, U.S. ambassador, president, where are you going?
The dream job is the UN, hopefully, because I love meeting new people all around the world. I love helping to solve the world's problems and break down barriers. And I consider myself very fortunate that I found my passion so early, which I think is a great thing. And I think many more people should try it sometime. Really, realistically, I became more interested in politics and international relations on my school trip to Washington. So
You are amazing.
I feel that the UN or the State Department, that's really I feel like that's where I could make the most difference.
That is awesome. Max, you are wonderful. And it's great to see all that you're doing at such a young age and educating other students and hopefully maybe even a few adults out there.
Yeah, I think he should be the show's Middle East expert.
Right?
Yeah.
Happy to do
Get him in
that.
studio to break this stuff down.
He said he's available.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Max. We really appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you. And here's more information on Teens for Peace in the Middle East at teenspeace.org, also on Instagram as well.
Oh,
And-
that's awesome.
And for teens to have that platform, you know, like too often we don't listen to young people, we don't listen to children, and they might have some more answers.
Right?
Dude's like 14 or 15 years old. I mean, are you kidding me?
When I was 14, I wanted to be a dentist.
Really? I didn't know. I think I wanted to do this. Sit in my living room and be on Facebook with y'all. No, I think I wanted to do this, but I was all over the place on what I wanted to do. Kind of like you, Amy. I guess in just different areas.
Well, I went from dentist to police officer to journalist, and then majored in journalism and stuck with it. So, you know, it worked
You
out.
were going to be a police officer? How were you going to be a police officer?
Oh, fascinated by it. Fascinated. But that's another day. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Anyway, our Facebook comment from Jeff saying, "Nice job, Ambassador Hyman." So there you go.
Yes.
Oh,
You're
that's
still
sweet.
watching us. Quick weather report. Hot day out there today, and some of the mugginess returns, and just a gorgeous look downtown at the museum campus. Still hard to get in and out of downtown. A lot of the bridges still in the up position for now. That is rerouting some buses, and Metro still on the Sunday schedule, so be aware of that. 87 degrees, we'll call it, at O'Hare. I wouldn't be surprised if we tick up a couple degrees south of there. And a little bit cooler near the lakefront. Tomorrow and the weekend looks great. It's just like last weekend, kind of a muggy week and then a nice weekend. Comfortable Saturday and Sunday. We warm up Monday pretty high, up to 90 degrees, but the humidity doesn't come till Tuesday. So Monday won't be so bad. It's storms and showers Tuesday, Wednesday, the remnants of what is now Tropical Storm Cristobal in the Gulf. And then next week looks to end on a little bit of cooler but a drier note. All right, so shifting gears from one exceptional high school student to another, our senior of the day today is Caleb Dunson. He's soon to be a Whitney Young grad, heading to Yale. That's in the Ivy League in the fall. Caleb going to be joining us to talk about not only his future, but also what he did with track and baseball. Also did an independent study this senior year involving identity, race, and gender, which, boy, couldn't be more important than these times.
Founded his own nonprofit as well.
Caleb, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good. You got that Yale sweater on already. You are
Yes,
Whitney Young
yes.
is in the rearview mirror.
Yes, for sure. I love Whitney Young, but I had to show my school pride for my new school.
Are you
Hey,
kidding me?
congratulations.
That's awesome.
That is
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
And having gotten accepted to some other prestigious universities as well. Why Yale? Why did you choose to go to Yale?
Yeah, so there are definitely a lot of reasons. Of course, the other schools I had options at are incredible in and of themselves, but I just feel like Yale is an incredible school, especially for students of color. The resources that they have, and then just the people. Most of all, they're extremely kind, extremely caring. Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to visit campus, but through the talks with the students that are already there and some of the incoming freshmen, I just feel like it's the best place for me.
It's really nice. You can trust me on that.
Yeah, it's
the
pretty
campus
good.
wasn't admitted there. Let me tell you that.
But you seen it.
I took a look around though.
Yeah, and those other schools being Harvard and Princeton. I mean, congratulations. Clearly, they
Thank
found
you. Thank you.
someone who's awesome.
You've done so much already and set this bar pretty high for yourself. Are you worried you're going to be able to keep it up?
I always I don't like to think of my accomplishments of something that I have to constantly top. I try and do things that I'm truly passionate about, and wherever that takes me is wherever that takes me. Honestly, my only goal is to have as much of an impact on my community and on the others around me as I can.
Well, they say do what you love, you never work a day in your life, right?
Yes, it's
How are-
very true.
How are you going to tackle the nonprofit when you kind of leave the area? Are you still going to kind of take it with you, or are you going to hand it off to someone else, or try and do it remotely?
Yeah, so I've been blessed to have an amazing team around me, which includes my parents. And so I will have some people back in Chicago helping me with the in-person stuff, especially once COVID starts to subside. But I plan on staying fully committed to the nonprofit, even though I'll be tackling some tough coursework at Yale.
Yeah, what path are you taking?
In terms of my major, I plan to major in ethics, politics, and economics and computer science. So I'm going to be taking a pretty heavy course load, but it's things that I'm passionate about. So like you said, if you're passionate about it, you never work a day in your life.
That is
You need to have some fun though too. Let me just tell you, you got to build a well-rounded social circle there too, because
Yes.
Yale, you're going to have a lot of good connections. You got to use those out of college too.
Oh, yes, of course. I do know how to have a good time, and I will take the opportunity to relax and have some fun on campus.
So exciting. Okay, so you got your major. What is the dream job? What ultimately do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm leaving my future kind of open. I've gotten the question, where will you be at in 10 years, a lot. And frankly, I don't know. You know what they say about the best laid plans. And so for me, it's just about creating an impact. Ideally, I would love to continue entrepreneurship and continue to start businesses that solve some of the world's most pressing issues. But if my passions take me down another path, I'm all for it, honestly.
I love that plan.
Yeah.
It's like I have a path, but I'm open to amending it. I think more people need to be like that.
Well, I could see him also becoming a journalist. You worked part-time for Money Magazine, right?
Yes, I did. And that was an awesome opportunity. I had the chance to work alongside some super talented teens writing articles about business and finance and just educating some of the other youth around Chicago about how to best manage their money.
Are you going to play any sports at Yale? I know you were active at Whitney Young.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't plan on playing any varsity sports. Maybe I'll join a club basketball team just to stay in shape on my off days, because basketball really is my passion. But, we'll see.
So you've said, I think you told our producers that your biggest your biggest inspiration was your mom. How come?
Yes, she is a Wonder Woman superhero. I'd honestly run out of superlatives trying to explain it all. But she has really done everything for me. It's been really just me and her growing up. And so I've seen her work her way through the city of Chicago government as I was growing up. And so her passion is really just completely rubbed off on me. She got her master's degree from DePaul when I was like 3-4 years old. So she was raising me, getting her master's degree. She went on to work her way through the city government, and she's the chief small business officer right now. Honestly, I couldn't be more proud of her, and her passion and her relentless drive is really what pushes me to do my best all the time.
Tell your
Combination of
mom she's
politics
done an
and business.
amazing job.
Yes.
I will. I will.
Hey, we had a comment from one of our team members here on the Jam, Ashley, our floor director. She says his life is way more together than mine is. Knowing Ashley, she's right. But Caleb, I mean, you got a lot of pressure on you. I imagine that with that comes a lot of responsibility too, and you know that responsibility that lies with you.
Yes, of course. I think of my responsibility as one that goes beyond myself. And it's something that I'm not afraid to take up. I think that a lot of times in society, we get a lot of focused on self-interest and personal accomplishments. But for me, I know that my work is going to be greater than myself. And so I have no problem taking on the pressure because for me, it's about more than just doing for myself. It's about doing for others and having an impact on my life that's beyond what happens to me.
And I appreciate all of your confidence with that as well. What are your plans for this summer?
Yeah, so I actually, of course, a big part of the plans for a matriculating senior for high school is getting some money to make sure that I have a little bit of spending money to go off to college with. So I am going to be working 2 jobs. I'm going to be continuing my job with On the Money magazine, preparing students and teaching them about finance and just personal savings goals. But I also am going to be doing what's called the Bryant Sleep Fellowship. If you guys are familiar with Brian Sleep, the community organizer that recently passed away. I'm doing his fellowship as a part of Chicago Votes. And so I'm going to be working on community organizing all throughout the summer, trying to galvanize communities and get them civically engaged and get them to turn out in the November election.
Have you always been this much of a go-getter, or is this something that happened in high school? Because I'm wondering, is my 10-year-old going to change and possibly someday be like you?
Honestly, it's hard to tell. Like I said, my mom has always been driven and passionate. And so I think that that's rubbed off on me. But beyond that, I think I've always kind of been a kid with eclectic interest. And so whenever I found something that I was interested in, I would bounce onto it and I would just completely dive into it wholeheartedly, fully. And so high school was really just a way to allow me to expand my interest and to explore even more because I had a wide breadth of opportunities. And so honestly, I don't know. I think maybe I was born with the passion. It's hard to tell.
Do you play video games?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
So they're saying
Yes.
there's a chance.
I'm curious to when, I know you said you hadn't visited Yale yet, but did they say when you'd be able to move in?
Yeah, so all of that is still up in the air, as well as, Yale's peer institutions in the Ivy League. A lot of them don't know what's going on. Yale's being really transparent about giving us weekly updates. They still don't know. I think they'll let us know in July whether or not I'll be on campus. I really, really hope I get to be on campus because Yale has this amazing housing system that's probably one of the best in the world. And so I definitely want to be there to experience it.
I don't know if you were able to watch, you probably weren't, you were getting ready for this, but our previous guest was also a very well-spoken young man. I picture a primary election between the two of you or a general election like 20 years in the future, and I'll be like, we interviewed both of them when they were, you got a couple presidents that went to Yale. I know you talked about your future, but mixing that political business world, is that ever something that has interested you? I know that's such a silly question to ask. Will you ever run for president? But honestly, you have such poise in your questions and it seems like such a great background that you'd be an interesting person to run at least some part of our country.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's something I've thought a little bit more about recently. My teachers, my friends have always said, you're going to run for mayor someday. You're going to be a senator. You're going to be a president. So I've heard it for a long, long time. I don't know if politics is necessarily where I'm going to go. But honestly, like I said, we'll see. You never know what the world's going to have in store for me. And I definitely would not be opposed to running for elected office.
Leaving all the doors open.
Yes.
You have one of our Facebook, Javier wants to know if you're ready for New Haven style pizza. Most pressing question.
What is that?
Yes. So actually, I don't quite know, but I've been getting a lot of messages from some of the kids from Chicago that have already matriculated to Yale telling me about the best pizza spots to hit up in New Haven. It's kind of this new style pizza. I don't know if it'll be as good as Chicago. I don't know if any pizza is as good as Chicago's pizza, but I'm definitely open to trying it. And I already have some recommendations from some former Whitney Young students currently at Yale for the best pizza places to hit up as soon as I land in New Haven.
I guess I just looked it up. I mean, I know I looked it up, but it's a thin crust Napolitan style. So it's like that really flaky, crispy crust, really thin.
Yeah.
They must have pizza ovens out there.
Mm.
Really do it.
Yeah.
Pizza
Well,
oven.
my personal
Oh, I
favorite
mean,
is
like
Home
a
Run In, and I'll
traditional
stick
style,
with it.
like wood fired.
Hold on. Sorry, Felicia. What were you saying, Caleb?
I was saying that my favorite pizza is Home Run In, and I'm sticking with it all the way.
I do love a good home run in myself. Got a couple in the freezer now.
Considering running for politics, you just dropped a home run in there. You got your answers ready to go. You know the city you're from.
Yes.
All right,
for sure.
Caleb. Good luck to you, man, next year and beyond. Please keep in touch with us. We really appreciate your time and really good luck.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Yeah,
These kids are really literally going to take over the world.
Yeah,
I know.
I feel a little bit better about our place in this world with someone that can use the word matriculate twice in one interview when we have leaders that I don't think know what that word means.
Oh yeah, forget it. Hey guys, we all have tried to focus on our mental health, sheltering in place because of the pandemic, and then grappling, of course, with the death of George Floyd, the protests, everything that's been happening around us. And a far south side nonprofit is making sure kids can also find therapeutic outlet too by handing out free art supplies to kids in need. Sarah Ward is the founder of Sky Art. She is joining us this morning with the details of how they're helping keep kids safe by keeping them busy and giving them an outlet for the emotions that they're having to deal with. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
So this is wonderful. You guys are giving art supplies to kids, a little bit like art therapy.
We're giving art supplies, we're doing art, and we're doing art therapy. Yeah.
And why? I mean, obviously you have art as a background, but what about art is such a important thing for kids to be able to do and to express themselves?
Well, I think especially now, trauma is encoded in our brain photographically. And so art is like a direct connection to that. And being an artist is a little different than an art therapist. I have like the foundation of learning about the brain and how our development affects us and how trauma affects young people. And it's an easy relief, and it's also a direct connection.
Because I think a lot of this also looks different for children right now, in terms of how they express the emotions of what they're seeing, the confusion, like we said, the trauma, the anger, the just uncertainty of what's going on right now. So I imagine art being a good way that it would be able to express that.
Right. And I think, so when we close down, all of our kids have a deep connection with us. They come almost every day, sometimes for years, and being able to connect with them, albeit virtually, but being able to connect and them share the art that they're creating and see their friends is really important. But the individual art therapy sessions that I've been doing, and I've just hired a couple more art therapists to kind of serve a larger group of kids, because over 50% of our parents asked for art therapy. They've been really good, and we've been talking about what's going on, which I think a lot of people are not talking to kids about it. And we're also trying to find calming images for them to look at and reflect on, so they're not so stressed out.
Are you seeing in a lot of the artwork that kids are doing that they are bothered by the world right now?
I think some of it, and historically, I've been doing this since '93. It definitely comes out. Generally, I think our kids are just trying to be connected to each other. I think kids are very resilient, but they're very confused right now. And, when I do art with kids, art therapy, I don't push them into any place that they're not willing to go. And so I think they're angry right now. They're upset. They feel disconnected from their schools. And with the murder of George Floyd and the countless other people that look like them that have been killed or wrongfully accused or locked up, it's having a huge effect on them.
We obviously we've talked a bunch about how the pandemic has really hit certain communities harder than others, and it's been a healthcare discussion. But when you talk about Zoom meetings and virtual meetings, that also impacts different communities as well. there are so many families that don't have Wi-Fi, and a lot of these kids, they lose this access completely.
Right. And yeah, many of our families are running on data plans. They are running with one person who has a cell phone that has data. They don't have laptops. They don't have tablets. There's 5 kids in the family. There's generations living under one roof. And the idea of them being able to be connected to school or us is something that just doesn't work. I heard yesterday or the other day that even kids that are given tablets and hotspots have dropped off, Zoom meetings and virtual classrooms pretty substantially.
How are you getting art supplies to kids?
So we're driving it. So at first, right when we started closing down, we sent out a text, and within 3 minutes, we had handed out 50 bags. And then we realized this might not be good because everybody was coming in the art center. It was just when social distancing, or not even social distancing, it was like the pandemic started. Yeah. And then we decided, well, we'll just get everybody's address and we'll start dropping them off. And so now we're dropping them off at schools. We're dropping them off on the west side at the Major Adams Center and at Marillac House. And we're dropping them off to our local schools on the southeast side. And we're continuing to do it. We've handed out 1,000 already.
I'm curious to know if you've had any local leaders or officials reach out to you, just because all these issues existed already. This isn't a new thing just because, now that we have the pandemic, now I feel like a lot of people are screaming like, we need technology and electronics and school supplies. And like, we need all these things to the community that it was already an issue before now.
Yeah, I've talked to my alderman, who's amazing, Sue Garza, and that's about it for, leadership and kind of, I think everybody, honestly, it's like, this has been such an adjustment. And then now what's happening with this unrest in the last, week and a half has thrown us all off again. I think there's so much uncertainty, and everybody, even in my board, like everybody's just trying to figure out all of the things that are being thrown at us, and how do we function, and how do we communicate, and how do we reach our constituents and reach our community.
When you send out kits, what's in the art kit? Like what sort of supplies?
So the regular art kits just have watercolors and paintbrushes and crayons and pads of paper and markers. And then the more advanced art kits for our teenagers in a special program called Project Third Space. They have oil paints and larger pads of paper and nicer supplies. Like paint pens and Sharpies. And then the art therapy kits are very controlled. Your materials, there's a certain control, and for trauma, you want the most controlled material, which is a pencil. So there are variants of pencils from soft to hard, and pads of paper, and what else is in the art therapy kit? And just pencils, colored pencils too.
If someone has those items at home, if they have paper and some colored pencils, I mean, how can a parent facilitate some of what you do?
I think, for me, I think having the kid identify, or the young person identify, where they feel kind of grounded is important. Let's be clear, most of our parents don't have crayons. That is not a priority. So if anybody watching, they're fortunate enough to make that a priority in their home, to have art supplies, I would really inspire kids to just draw a peaceful place. A lot of times with kids and parents, though, kids want to please their parents, so they draw something to please them, to put on the refrigerator, and it's not really coming from what they're really feeling. So it's hard with a parent and a kid. That makes sense.
Do you guys
As the son of an art teacher,
do you have any plans to open up anytime soon, or are you guys starting to do social distancing opening, small group things?
So this week we're going to start, and it turned out that there were, our block was devastated. There was, a large group of people that went up I'm on 91st, and from 92nd all the way to 86th Street. They broke windows and looted all of the Walgreens and City Sport and Villa and the dispensary. and set fire to a building just a block around the block. And then with the racial Black on brown situation, my Black staff was concerned about going to work. So we did not go this week. I actually gave my whole staff a mental health day 2 days ago because they were struggling. And we are going to start open it next week, social distancing. So teams are going to go in, and then we'll open up to kids in July.
When you, I was fortunate enough, I think a lot of us that watch this, when you bring up that idea that some households, or most households, don't even have art supplies in the house, that makes sense, right? But part of it's because I grew up the son of an art teacher, that we always had art supplies. But a lot of people do, if they have some privilege, they do have that opportunity. I guess what I'm asking is, and I should get to a question, is how can we help you make sure that more homes have these art kits, or that kids have access to these supplies?
Well, I mean, in all honesty, art supplies cost money. So donations are amazing. You can restrict a donation to an art supply. You can just put in the memo of your check, this is for art supplies. Community centers have reached out to us. Chicago Hopes, which runs 10 shelters around the city for young people who are experiencing homelessness, have reached out to us. So we're going to distribute art supplies to 350 of those children. So it's more about, if you do not have the means, reach out to us and we will deliver art supplies. If you have the means, donate to us so we can deliver art supplies.
You take supplies too, or is that just too complicated during this time? You'd prefer to have the purchasing power yourself? Because I know some people have some things just laying around, and that's like they love that tangible drop off, but it might not be the best for right now.
We do, and a lot of the time that's like bags and bags of yarn. Or old crayons. And honestly, I mean, kids deserve a new set of crayons. And getting a whole bunch of old supplies to kids that don't ever get new things is hard. So we usually keep those in the studio and we give our kids new stuff.
Cool.
They deserve it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate everything you're doing for kids, especially, and your staff as well. It's very heartfelt and smart. And we want to make sure we get the information up there on the screen. skyart.org is the website. You can find them on social media as well. And of course, if you want to help support them, you can do that on the website. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, best of luck.
Thanks.
Let's talk about Chicago Food to Go, a show that airs on the weekends as we feature local restaurants that are open for delivery and takeout, and now also patio service. So we're going to be tackling all those sorts of things, and it's a show that you can help out with too. Take a video of your out experience on the balcony, or the patio, or your takeout and delivery experience. Post the video, use the hashtag Chicago Food to Go, and then watch them over the weekend.
Little look at our weather today.
Oh, sorry, that's next. Temperatures in the upper 80s. Eventually, not right now, but we'll get to the upper 80s across the area. Abundant sunshine, but we'll have some cloud cover continue on and off throughout the afternoon. And we could even see a stray shower or a storm roll through the area as a possibility. 87 degrees today, your high. As we look at tomorrow, we cool off big time. 76 and 80 your temperatures over the weekend, and dew points in the 50s and 40s, so very comfortable. We heat up on Monday, but don't have the humidity until Tuesday. And then we have some rain as well Tuesday into Wednesday before a cooler and drier end of next week.
Okay, guys, I'm looking forward to that warmer weather. He is a longtime friend of the Jam, former Bachelorette contestant, Dustin Kendrick. He's joining us this morning as a very raw social media post is going viral. We have a part of it here. Take a listen.
Being biracial, half white, half black, I feel like I've always been right in the middle of these things my whole entire life. I've been pulled over for no reason and searched. I've had people treat me differently. Just playing sports in junior high and just being like two black kids on a basketball team. And your coach telling you don't wander off by yourself. Always stay in twos, For people showing so much love right now, it means a lot.
Dustin Kendrick joining us right now. Dustin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
See you. Yes, we always love to see you. We saw you get choked up there. Usually we see you with a big smile on your face, but I see you reacting to everything that's going on.
Man, that was, I didn't expect to get choked up there. I just felt like it was my duty to tell a little bit about my story. And as I'm just telling it, it just all came out. All that emotion, all that, I kind of tucked in for so many years, just all of a sudden came out. And yeah, I'm glad I did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine, when you stop and think of, maybe it was small things that have happened to you in your lifetime, but when you stop and think about all of them and start kind of listing them, it gets got to get really heavy on you just over your lifespan.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And like, I'm from Southern Illinois, Marion, Illinois. And again, there's great people down there all over. But, going through some of these things over and over, it was like the norm. Like, I guess I didn't know any better. I guess it was just something I was supposed to go through and deal with and overcome. But, after, you move around, you travel a little bit, it's not the norm. And for sure, after, so much of that and just remembering it and just it all coming together right now just made me like crazy emotional. I didn't expect that to happen, but it just came out.
What prompted you to even kind of start that conversation online? Did you take some time after everything originally happened before you wanted to do it, gather your thoughts, or was it like I have to speak at this point?
Yeah, I just felt like I have to speak, like with the movement of everything going on, and people might look at me and be like, he talks properly, or he's light skinned. He probably hasn't ever experienced any kind of racism in his life, and it's false. And I talk about that in the video. Like, I say the whitest person, whatever. I'm the whitest Black person you might meet or whatnot, but it happens to everybody. It doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter the shade of your skin color. I almost guarantee that everyone that is Black, has experienced racism at some point.
What do you mean when you say you're the whitest Black person? That is...
I've just always used that comment as like, okay, maybe I'm super light skinned, or, where I came up, like I was raised by my white side of my family. So I don't necessarily, as stereotypical, say, talk Black, I just say it like that. I didn't really mean to get into it. And some people thought too much into it, but that's just what I meant. And,
yeah. And I was gonna say, do you also feel with your platform, I mean, having been on The Bachelorette, you are a public figure, people know you, you obviously have been successful, do you feel the need to make sure that people understand that it happens to a lot of people?
Absolutely. And that's where I felt like it was just, I have to say something. I have to let that known that so many people are confused right now. It's a very tough subject to talk about. Even for, even me being Black, it's even tough for me to talk to someone that doesn't understand, or, it's tough for both sides. And it for sure had to come out. It had to be said. I wish I could say, I should say more, but yeah.
We've seen a lot of people sharing a video and getting choked up and saying very similar things. They didn't expect to get choked up when they did it. Obviously, it's got to be somewhat therapeutic to go through that experience. What did you feel like after you had posted the video?
After I posted the video, I was really overwhelmed with love. I had, I would say, probably over 200 messages in my DMs of people just, telling me they don't understand. They'll probably never understand, but they'll stay with me. They're trying to learn, and, they want to be there for me and for this cause. And it was overwhelming. It was, I got a little choked up in the video, but I got more choked up after the video. And, never before have I seen so many people that aren't Black stick up for this cause.
Where do we go from here? I know that's a loaded question, but it's like there's a lot of momentum. And like you said, you've had a lot of people reach out to you, but it has to go beyond that. Like, that was a nice sentiment in the moment.
For sure. It has to go beyond. For sure, just education, awareness, people just, like I said this a couple of weeks ago, I don't want to get into it, but like the Hannah Brown saying the N-word to a song. And I made a comment that, not necessarily to her, because, this happens all over the place, but if with Black culture, everybody loves Black culture. They love the music, the fashion, but those same people that love it need to understand that there's Black history that go along with it. And for sure, at the minimum, people need to start, Black history is American history. And when we have Black History Month, it's just nice to see more people that aren't Black tell us who their favorite Black history activist is, or someone that changed the world. It's things like that make a difference, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. To fully be a part of the culture is what you're asking.
Fully be a part of it. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So want to switch gears a little bit because we want to talk about your quarantine. So you've been quarantined now with one of your good friends, Pilot Pete, who many people know, correct? And Kelly. So are they officially dating now? Is that what I understand? So
we're not quarantined together anymore. They are, I believe they're at Pete's, but we were quarantined for a while, and they are officially together, a cute couple. I had to keep my lips sealed about it for a while, but yeah.
Which one do you like more as a roommate?
I'll have to go with Kelly. For sure. Kelly took care of us. She cooked for us a lot, and she's a great person, and they're both great people, but I picked Kelly.
See, that's a new relationship. She's taking care of two men,
right?
Her man and his friend. Her man and his friend. That's a new relationship.
Wait, so where are you quarantined now?
I'm back at home. Back at home. Yeah.
Well, I imagine, you talk about Pilot Pete being a good friend of yours, I'm sure an ally in this cause as well. And do you feel that you've had, responses not only from friends, but strangers, but a wide variety of responses to your video and to your situation, just from all sorts of people?
Yeah, for sure. All sorts of people. It's funny, like, actually me, Kelly, and Pete had this conversation before, all this had happened. And I actually sat them down and we watched 13th. It's on Netflix, the 13th Amendment. And that's a great documentary that actually gives a lot of education of Black history and where we are today and why we are here today is because of what we went through. So I highly recommend everybody that hasn't seen it to watch it.
Mm-hmm. What else you been doing in quarantine? What else are you watching?
Man, not much. Well, yeah, I watched Shameless. I've never watched Shameless before, but I just watched all 9 seasons. I think I have one more season to watch, but other than that, not much. I've been trying to do some real estate education, just learning, and taking long walks and playing with my dog. It's about it.
The real estate education. I love that. I guess I want to know what you think about having been on a dating show. What do you think about Love is Blind?
I loved watching Love is Blind. I thought it was, sorry, 1 second. There's a sign going by.
Thanks.
I really enjoyed Love is Blind, actually. Would I do it? Probably not. I don't know if I'll ever do another dating show again, but I really enjoyed it. It was fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I hear you being mum. Has a producer reached out to you or something? Oh, conveniently on this question.
This is a tease in the business.
Yeah,
he's actually not frozen. He just doesn't want to answer it. He's frozen. All right, we didn't hear your answer, Dustin. Go ahead and repeat the question, Felicia.
What was the question?
Are you being mum? Have you been reached out to by a producer?
Have I what?
Has any producer?
It sounds like you are holding back a little bit with that answer. It was a very politically correct answer. Has a producer reached out to you?
From the show? From
Love is Blind, yeah.
Any show.
Actually, yeah, they have reached out to me, but they were reaching out to me to see if I had a friend that would be interested. They didn't reach out to me for me, I don't think. But yeah, a couple shows have reached out to me. Who knows? Who knows, guys?
Hey, is Pilot Pete really moving to Chicago? That's the rumor I hear permanently?
I don't.
Frozen again.
On all the juicy questions.
Right.
I blame that fire truck that went by. It messed everything up. Messed with the Wi-Fi after it went on by.
I don't know if he's.
Sorry, Dustin, you were in and out again. We're just losing your internet just a little bit. Tina wanted to know, is Pilot Pete moving to Chicago for good?
I don't know if he's moving to Chicago for good, but he definitely loves Chicago. He'll probably be here for, quite a while, spending time here more than he has before. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see.
That's great. Yeah, well, we'll leave it up in the air.
Yeah.
All right, Dustin, we really appreciate you when you shared your story. I think that's so important for people in any position, but especially when you got a lot of followers and you have a lot of fans to share that real raw emotion that you went through. Let's get your information up on the screen for where people can follow you if they don't already. Dustin B. Kendrick is his Instagram and his Twitter handle. Dustin, take care, man, and come on by anytime, okay?
All right, guys. I'll see you guys soon.
See you soon. Hopefully in studio too.
In studio, absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, there was an interesting article about things that the weirdest things people have ever done for money. And I really had to dig through because it could take a real dirty turn, right? At first, that's where my mind went, at least. I don't know why, especially in this age of OnlyFans or whatever. But do you guys have anything weird in your past that you did for money that when you look back, you're like, what the heck was I doing?
I mean, I was a cocktail waitress in college, but that was not weird.
I think we're kind of prudish here. Prunes, what do you call it? I think we're kind of prudish here. Like, yeah,
like in a bed or anything.
Normal. We're normal people.
Yeah.
No, I've definitely done my fair share of bets though, like things you do. Like I've definitely done. They mentioned to eat a spoon of wasabi. I've done that before for $5, which is putting my entire life in danger.
How did you survive that?
I don't know. I probably spit it out. I was in high school. I did a lot of dumb bets in high school, right? Because you got that thing where you're trying to, prove what you do or what you don't do out there. Some people talk about working in retail law enforcement for like $7 an hour back in the day, and the things that you do for that job that you look back, you're like, why am I giving this that much effort when they ain't paying me anything? I was a baseball umpire. As like an 11-year-old, which I know it doesn't seem all that weird, but here's really what the job is. You're an 11-year-old kid, you're arbitrating a bunch of other 11-year-old children playing a game, and you get yelled at all the time by fully adult grown men. That should be what the job description is.
It builds character, John Hansen, helps you build thick skin. And help you grow up a little bit. I actually had my co-anchor when I worked as the morning show in Knoxville, Tennessee, and my co-anchor was from the South and he'd never had sushi before, so I made him do the wasabi thing only because he didn't know what wasabi was. He didn't do it for any money.
That sounds evil, Amy.
It was fun.
I think it's kind of funny though. John was the umpire. Out of all the positions on the baseball field, he ends up being the umpire.
Hold on. I also played baseball. Yeah. It's a separate job. I love the sport so much. I was willing to get screamed at by 40-year-old men telling me how bad I am at my job to earn $11 a game, which is like 2 hours long. What I hated it at first. In fact, I don't know if I've shared this before, but I used to sometimes umpire a game because if there was lightning or thunder, it'd get postponed or canceled, but we'd still get paid. I would be sitting there in the game. If it wasn't going my way, I'd be like, saw some lightning out there. Heard a little thunder. This game is canceled. If I was just like, you know what, I'm getting yelled at by this coach. Game over, everyone. Back to your dugouts. Back on home now.
I'm pretty sure that we did that to producers back in the day when we had to do live shots that we thought were stupid. Is we would tell them thought we saw lightning because you couldn't go live if it was lightning. I'm pretty sure I argued with many a producer over live shots that way. I mean, that was like before they actually look at the radar where the lightnings could strike because it wasn't so specific.
Right.
Yeah, right. Your meteorologist is like, no, I don't see any of that right now, Amy. You're like, no, you don't have the data. I see it with my eyes.
You don't have the data. Well, you guys know that I worked at a funeral home, Leak & Sons Funeral Home, for a couple of years. But I also, the other kind of weirdest job, I worked at Uncle Joe's Jerk Chicken Shack. The one on 83rd and Cottage. And so I learned a lot about Jamaican culture that summer and a lot about jerking stuff. You can jerk anything.
And we're going to leave that right there. John.
What's the time code on that one? Thank you. Okie dokie. All right, let's move on. If you ever watched WWE as a kid or become a fan of AEW. We're like Wrestling Central here on The Jam. We've got a lot of characters from AEW on. You're going to love our next guest, the men behind the Professional Wrestling Collective, which allows followers to become the wrestling character of their dreams. Kenny Monroe is a wrestling super manager. He joins us as well with co-creator Casey Hopkins. We're still connected to the audio, but I can't wait to figure out how to really embrace my character. Casey, I think we got you. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
What is your... Yeah, and so where are you right now? Is this a virtual background or what?
Oh, I'm located in the very real, very expensive IWF studios.
Oh, okay. I can see. Yeah, it's very real. Why don't you go press some buttons there for us to show us?
Am I there?
Yeah, Kenny. Kenny, how you doing, boss? Oh, Kenny.
Is it live? Yeah, live?
What?
It's live? We're live.
You're live, Kenny.
Oh, that's very embarrassing. I'm very sorry about that.
That's okay. It's okay. So, Casey, you and Kenny, how y'all know each other?
Well, Kenny actually just invaded the Isolation Wrestling Federation, which is a thing that. Yeah, Kenny, to be honest, I just met you. I'm really good friends with Jimmy Riddle, who's the creator and co-founder of the Isolation Wrestling Federation, but you only recently debuted in the IWF. But he is now the super manager.
Oh, okay.
Super manager. Okay.
I'm the general manager of the IWF. I'm Kenny goddamn Monroe.
So tell me, how do we get involved? Like, if I want a wrestling character, how does this happen? How do I get to join?
Okay, so what you would do? What you would do is you would go on our Instagram page at Isolation Wrestling Federation. You would check out some of the videos that have been posted first. Then you would post your own video as your wrestling character first, not making a call out or anything like that. And you would tag hashtag IWF Pros, and you would add it at us. And the video has to be at least 30 seconds and include music. That's pretty much the only rules.
How many submissions have you guys gotten?
How many submissions we've gotten? Quite a bit. Right now, we have about 40 active creators that are wrestlers, no contact professional wrestlers.
So then what does Kenny do as our manager? Is Kenny then become our super manager? How does that go?
Now, let me tell you what Kenny Monroe's going to do. Right? Kenny Monroe, #1 top no contact wrestling manager guy. I mean, I'm good at other managing stuff. I mean, if you need a manager, I'm your guy.
Okay.
But what I'll do is I'll make you a star. You know?
This sounds really shiesty. This sounds really shiesty. What percentage?
Wait. What do you mean shiesty?
Shady. How do I trust you, Kenny?
Like, I want to know what percentage you're taking off of the talent that you're managing.
What's your favorite thing?
My favorite thing?
Yeah, tell me what your favorite thing is.
Regarding what?
Anything, you know, what do you like the most? I can get that. Large quantities, big quantities, all kind of quantities. I can get that to you. I'll give you that. I take everything and it's good.
I feel like I'm being skimmed out of my money.
Yeah, how does non-contact wrestling work?
Okay, so basically, it's no contact. Basically, people will do promo battles on each other. They'll call each other out. They'll respond, and then we'll send it to a vote. It doesn't go to an actual fight, ideally.
Yeah, that would actually be bad if it went to an actual fight, right?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, no.
Well, what is the best character in terms of, like, how do we really get views? How do we really get noticed? Is it being bombacious? Is it expletive laden? Or is it someone who's soft spoken? Or is it the blending of all those things?
Kenny, I would answer this one myself. I think Double H Harold Hopkins, the new game, the Ultimate Champion, the IWF Women's Champion, is the perfect example of this. I don't know him. I just hear that he is a great no-contact professional wrestler. And I think if you take an approach like him...
I can say right now, that's a lie. That's a lie. The best no-contact wrestler, we all know is the late, great Dick Powers. He's a bad man, and he'll go in there, and he'll do his job, and he'll leave with win. Big win.
I think if you take the Dick Powers approach, the lively, energetic approach, you're doomed to failure because there's too much of that these days.
Well, so
What tips do you guys have?
What tips do we have? So basically, from a practical standpoint, clear audio, clear video helps. If you're doing it from the green screen, that makes it even better too. Because if you have problems there, we have people that can kind of help clean it up and standardize how it looks. So I mean, like just mainly focusing on getting your video and your audio right.
Yeah, okay. Well, Kenny, let's get with Kenny. I want to hear what he thinks is star talent for something like this.
Star talent. Yeah, you gotta have a lot of bravado. Bravado's good. You know, if you can walk for the door and go, God damn it, I'm taking you down, and then you do good promo. That's the best thing. I like good, nice promo.
Yeah. What if I'm a woman? And should I have bravado too?
Yeah, of course. You know, you just gotta go in there and give it some. You know, just take him down. Find out some personal information about him. Slander him, and just take him down with the good folks.
Casey, you got to tell me, how am I supposed to trust Kenny when he has a green screen but nothing projected behind him?
This is not a green screen. I like the color green. Why are you laughing?
What are you doing?
I think the key, I would say the best tip is refute anything that anybody says. Just go to opposite.
Yeah. I mean, like, here's the thing. I'm not asking you to trust Kenny Monroe. I'm just bringing on
Casey.
here to make an example. Kenny, come on.
Just get out of my office.
I'm not in your office.
Not you, Ben.
How dare you?
My assistant. He's constantly coming in with his phone.
So,
boy, trying to show me a selfie.
Do you guys have a lot of women who are doing this, or is it kind of all a men thing?
No, we have a ton of women that are doing that. It's pretty split at this point. They're like, women's wrestling is a pretty huge thing nowadays. It doesn't just skew towards males that do.
So Casey, again, how do people get involved and define this persona?
Yeah, but so basically what you do is you create your debut video, you submit it to us, you tag hashtag IWF Pros, you add it at Isolation Wrestling Federation, and the video has to be minimum of 30 seconds and have music, and then we'll take a look at it. And from there, if we think that you have star potential, we'll put you on the page.
That sounds awesome. I really need to come up with my persona. Do you have to have a good name too? I imagine that's part of it.
Rowdy.
A good name does help. I would say that.
You need the Roddy Pipers of the day, right?
Yeah, we do. We're looking for more Roddy Pipers.
Well, I used to manage that guy.
Oh, okay. What happened?
Contact wrestling manager guy.
I'd say Felicia's got a Bye Felicia personality ready to go. That could be her finishing move. Bye Felicia, then she slams someone. Well, no contact, sorry, but she
verbally Bye Felicia.
You'll verbally.
I do that regularly anyway.
Yeah.
Get him in a verbal headlock.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd be lying if I didn't say this, but I'm a little scared right now.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I
All
mean,
right, Casey.
people are scared to join the Isolation Wrestling Federation just because, it's a difficult sport. But if you have what it takes to compete in no contact, we're waiting for you.
Awesome. Well, Casey and Kenny, I'm not signing that contract. Kenny, I know a bad one when I see it.
That's a small print.
Yeah, real small.
His contract is probably written in pencil anyway.
ISO Wrestling on Twitter, Isolation Wrestling Fed on Instagram, isolationwrestling.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Take it easy.
Take care.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, I think I'm going to add that to the list of the strangest things I've ever done for money. We're going to get to near 90 degrees today, especially in the suburbs. A little bit cooler along the lakefront. So 87 will be your high, but a lot of sun, some clouds. And you notice those trees blowing. That a wind event, especially off the lakefront, is meaning cooler temperatures. But we will have some broken showers and storms as well throughout the area. When you get this muggy, that's kind of what you get. 7-day forecast shows we cool down tomorrow for your weekend. Nice and dry, sunny, and very comfortable with low dew points. We pop back up to the 90s into early next week. We add some rain to the mix as well, and a cooling down of temperatures as what is tropical storm Cristobal makes its way up towards us. And then we cool off when we clear out for the end of the week.
Sounds amazing. Hey, so did you guys hear there's an article written about a plastic surgeon in Florida that is offering drive-through Botox to quarantine residents.
Say no, Amy. Say no, Amy.
Why are you looking at me? Why would I get it?
I'm saying don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, first of all, here's my argument. What's the difference? They only need access to your face. Right?
I didn't even think that's a good angle. Like, I'm trying to imagine, like, you have to stick your head out the window. It's too much.
As long as you're wearing a mask, because you don't get Botox down here, you get Botox up here.
It takes 2 seconds for that to be messed up.
I assume that's not while you're driving. You'll put the car in park, because when you get a needle, I don't want to hit a speed bump. And
oh my gosh.
Okay, well, let's see what Deanna and Krista have to say about it. We're talking about drive-through Botox. Could you guys ever imagine?
Girl,
no.
shut it down.
Why? I mean, there are, out of all the things that we need to open right now and we need to prioritize, drive-through Botox?
Exactly. And this was one thing about quarantine that I was kind of like, ooh, everyone's going to come out. We're going to see like who really looks like what they look like, because you can't go anywhere. And there's so many girls on Instagram who are just shaking in their boots. So, I mean, it was going to happen eventually, but I don't know. I'm kind of digging that part of quarantine.
Listen, all you 20-somethings, let me just tell you, we have been in quarantine for what, 12 weeks, 13 weeks now? Botox, that's 3 to 4 months. If you get Botox and you want to keep it up, you need to keep it up. Otherwise, it gets really expensive. So I've heard.
Really? Is that something like you have to, if you don't do it, like what happens?
It goes away after like 3 or 4 months. And if you like don't keep up with it, then it's going to take more to get the same results from before. And that gets worse.
It's like, at least from what I've seen, it's like a whole commitment. I mean, I think that's why people who get lip injections, their lips start getting like bumpy. I don't know how to describe it. But because they don't continue filling in their lips. So I feel like this is like a lifetime thing that you have to continue doing. I don't know.
Like getting roots, like your hair grows out. If you dye it, you got to keep it up. Maintenance.
We're getting there.
I'm so expressive with my face sometimes, with my facial expressions. I'll watch back and I'm like, what are you doing with your face? That I think before every show, I should just get some Botox just to kind of freeze me in place just a little bit. Make sure that I'm not moving around too much.
I do like this one, John Hanson. You'll be reading something while we're on, and you can tell you're reading because you look kind of pissed off while you're reading.
Either that or constipated.
Or constipated.
Amy does point out and really makes fun of me for my version of an RBF, an RJF. My resting John face is not very good. Like even when I'm reading the news, I've had to like try and work on, you know, it's like it's not a good look. I don't know. And like when people are talking, I'm just like, I don't know.
Mine's not either. Girls in high school, because I was the captain of my Palms team, and all the freshmen would always say that they were afraid to talk to me in the hallways because I have such a like dead normal face. But I don't mean to. I'm like, you guys know I'm like the most happy, outgoing, positive gal.
Yeah. No, I have that issue too. I 100% have that issue too. My resting face is just like.
That's a.
I don't know if bland is the right word. I don't know.
Maybe we need to get Botox, Felicia. Maybe that'll fix it. I don't know.
I have lazy eyes. So I used to model, and that was something that I constantly was an uphill battle for me. Like my eyes just naturally rest like lazy. So
I used to get, my colleagues used to make fun of me in previous jobs because when I'm typing a story or I'm writing a story, I get really into it. And y'all know I have big eyes to begin with. And so I'll stare at a computer and I won't blink for minutes. And my eyes get really big. So people know I'm in the middle of the story.
I wish I could have used those big eyes while I was modeling.
Mm-hmm.
You needed those.
There's some psychology behind why we are always hangry at home and why we're resorting to snacks. And it has to do with the idea of mounting chores, knowing that we have to clean up a bunch of things. And so in our brains, in order to make it less burdensome after cooking, the idea is that we go for snacks because you don't have to clean up afterwards, right? You just eat out of the bag. Which is interesting. I haven't actually found myself particularly hangry as much as I normally am because, I don't know, maybe it's just because there's more access. I don't know. I felt a lot calmer working from home than a lot of other people, I'll say.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say too, like with all the stuff that's been going on that's so heavy lately, I have actually felt like I wanted to eat less.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you guys, anyone else experienced it hangry or got a reason behind it?
I mean, the chores and the cleanup and the dishes definitely, fits into play here. Our dishwasher broke for a couple days and we were hand washing everything. And I was like, okay, paper plates, like we're just this 1 week, we're doing this because it's so much work.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. If you're
the dishwasher talk, Krista, you're killing me. I would give anything to have a dishwasher here.
We run ours twice
don't have
a day. We have so many dishes because there's so many people.
Really? Okay, I thought it was just me because our kitchen looks absolutely crazy, and it's just I feel like I have to wash dishes before because we didn't wash it before the last time we cooked, and then we got to cook, and then I got to wash dishes afterwards, so that doesn't happen. So stuff just sits out there.
Do you guys actually identify when you're having like a hangry moment? I feel like every time I do have one, or an episode, as my dad would say, he always comes home and he's like, oh, you're not a good friend today. And then I realize I'm like, okay, I haven't had any food for the last, I don't know, 7 hours or 6 hours or whatever. If I do like miss a meal or something like that. So I don't know if I like realize that unless I get a headache because I'm not eating at the right times, I don't really realize when I do have a hangry moment.
Oh, yeah, someone's got to check you. Like my roommates will be like, did you eat yet? Like, did you have breakfast yet?
Right.
Come on.
I eat like on a clockwork. So if I am like 5 minutes past that, I am hangry.
Yeah. I mean, I could tell a difference 100%. It's something that has to be monitored.
Something that we've done in our house to kind of keep sane is Enrique always likes when I give him random facts. And there's an article about like how everyone kind of has a random fact. And I've told you a couple of mine on the show already. But every night, Enrique wants a couple random facts before bed. And I find that as a cool exercise because I like to walk through. And now I get categories. I'll be like, what's the category? And it's like animals or something like that. And I either look it up or I know some things. So I have some really fascinating... I know it's really
Wait. We're not going to just gloss over that like that didn't just happen.
Right.
Okay, just so you know, that's not normal.
Really?
But I love the fact that you guys work so well together.
Yes. I love
He
that
wants to know some random things, and I got some random things. So,
like, John, do you just memorize them? Do you keep them in like a jar or something, and you pull them? Like, how do you do it? Because I mean, I had to look some up. I'm like, what's a random fact that I know? I mean,
hey guys, Brandon's here too. Hi, Brandon.
Hey, B.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Just wrapped up Couch Counter. We're talking about random facts. No, I don't have a cookie jar of random facts.
Oh, they're independent.
Sometimes I have to look them up on the internet. Sometimes they're right here. The worst is when there's a follow-up question and I have no idea. I'm like, hey, I'm just giving you tidbits here. I'm not trying to give you the whole thing. But some of the ones that I've done over the recent days that I can remember, interesting facts, are things like so space has a smell. So when you talk to astronauts who've gone on spacewalks, they say it smells like seared steak, like really overcooked meat. Wow. Huh? Random fact. Bees not only will sting you, bees also sting other bees. How crazy is that?
No way.
Amy, here's a good one for you. How many questions does the average kid ask in a day, according to parents?
36.
300.
Yeah, more.
Wow.
The average kid asking 300 questions a day.
Oh, I was thinking of random questions. Sorry. Yes.
Any question. Any
oh,
question.
okay. Yeah.
Here's a question for all of you. What's the most commonly used letter in the alphabet? Felicia, what's your guess?
A.
Amy.
R.
S.
E.
I.
Nope, it's Brandon. Brandon got it. E, the most commonly used letter in the English language.
Did you know that, Brandon, or was that a guess?
It was an educated guess because E is in almost every single word, it seems like.
All right, educated guess. We almost all said vowels, okay? Calm down. Tell me the Spanish one. I want to know the Spanish one, John. Here's the question.
You know, the human head weighs 12 pounds.
Yep.
Like, is that universal? Because I feel like my head's pretty big.
I'd give her 14.
No. When Brandon gets on a soapbox, his weighs a lot more. So.
Well, okay. So here's one because I feel like those are a lot of facts that I don't have anything to do with. Then what am I going to do with those facts, John?
Nothing.
Okay, so I think you guys have heard this one, that a bee is not aerodynamically fit to fly because the bee's body is so much larger than its wings. So scientifically, it doesn't make sense that the bee is able to fly, but the bee doesn't know that. So the bee flies anyway.
So the bee has junk in its trunk, is what you're saying?
Yes, a little flavor in the body.
I was wondering why John's facts didn't relate to Felicia's, but now that you bring in the junk in the trunk, I get it now. That's why yours relates to you. I get it.
And of course,
relate to Felicia because Felicia does not care. That's why they don't relate.
You're the queen of the beehive, Beyonce fan, so I get it.
Beyonce fun facts.
But the point is, you can still do things even if people say you're not supposed to be able to do them. There's like a little lesson in that fact.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
I just feel like if you're ever at a cocktail party or some sort of thing, it's really important to have these random facts stowed away.
Yes.
Like after the pleasantries, after what is going on with the weather or what do you do for a living, you better have some things to pull at to impress people, to get the conversation going. What else do you guys talk about?
I've got a great one.
All right.
I've got a great one. Who has the most game-winning shots in NBA history?
See, that's not useless facts, though. We're talking about useless, weird facts.
It is useless to some Chicagoans because it's LeBron James.
All right, I'm leaving this meeting.
Yeah, no, just kick Brandon out.
Boo.
It's the only fact that matters.
Just kick Brandon out and all his anti-Chicagoan fodder.
Right?
I love Chicago. I love LeBron too.
That
Okay,
was
how about
anti.
this?
That was
I have
anti.
one. Really quickly, hunting unicorns is legal in Michigan. Did you guys know that? Yeah. And look, it says here, the chief of the unicorn hunters was once quoted saying, "The pursuit of the unicorn is a lonely quest. We wish them nothing but good luck." It sounds like something they would do in Florida.
That's like a Florida fact for sure.
Wasn't there a thing? What was? The Florida man, right? That's like a thing.
Well, everything
Florida
weird
count
happens in Florida.
Yeah.
And
Amy, did you have one? Because I got one more historical one that's really interesting.
Just go for it, boo.
All right, here's the last one I'll do because I could go forever. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln, of course, was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth? And Chris is rejoining the conversation now because she has to hear this fact that I have. So John Wilkes Booth murdered President Abraham Lincoln. Did you know that John Wilkes Booth's brother rescued Abraham Lincoln's son from a big bad carriage accident between horses and buggies 4 months before his assassination? He saved his life. Relatives of these two people that ended up being part of history for a violent reason, their relatives were jointed and saved in terms of lives. Yes, Amy?
Just to add to your story, did you also know that Anne Rutledge was actually Abraham Lincoln's first love, and he wanted to marry her, but she got sick and died?
Oh, I did not know that.
There you go.
But I also know that John Wilkes Booth was at Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural, and there's a bunch of other facts that I won't get into now because they're useless apparently. So.
Wow, what a nerd.
I know. It's bad. It's a disease.
No, but Abraham Lincoln is a pretty impressive president. So there are a lot of fun facts to know about him. So I'll give you that one, John.
Sure.
I got
He's up there in
booted,
the top
but do you guys want to know my fact?
Yes.
What?
Pineapples take 24 months to grow.
2 years.
You believe that?
Why they're so expensive.
I love pineapples. Now I'm like afraid that we're going to run out of pineapples. 2 years?
Who are you talking to, Felicia?
Deanna!
Donna's on the phone too. What do you
I just want to know if I'm the only one that doesn't find these history facts.
No, girl, I'm ready to get out of this call. This is too much. What you doing after this?
Y'all could have chatted
You
privately.
can come over and sit across the street so we can have lunch, okay?
You know what? We should make reservations. We should make reservations.
Well, you know, you guys can now be together because you're in groups of less than 10. So let's pay attention.
Oh my
It's
God.
going to be me and Deanna. It won't be any. It's just me and you, D. None of these other
patio.
Tell you what, I'll
Yeah,
pivot if
I
you
love
guys
you.
hang up.
I'm
Yeah,
in.
hang up.
Yeah.
That was
I'm
cute.
down for the patio.
Yeah. Did you guys hear that their authorities in England pulled over a man who was driving twice the speed limit where he was going? He was driving really fast for 42 miles for a McDonald's hamburger because the place had just reopened up. Where are you speeding across the world to get? Isn't that
crazy?
Oh, that's a good question.
Hamburger. Like, come on.
I could do that to go to a bar, but then I couldn't have my car there, so that would be bad. I'd have an Uber go really fast to a bar.
Okay.
That
I would
actually
do that
works.
for,
That actually works.
I would do that for Jenny's ice cream. I think
Mm.
Jenny's ice cream is just so delicious, and if I'm just so happy it's been open during COVID-19, because if it was closed, oh, I would not survive. I love it so much.
Brandon, are you working on the COVID-15?
Actually, I've lost 2 pounds, so it's
It's the ice cream diet, huh?
yeah, exactly. It's got protein. It's a good source of protein.
Okay, so let's talk this because I really want to hear some of you guys' responses. Your usual go-to response when someone pisses you off, it just makes you angry.
Ooh.
Oh.
That one. It's that one. It's that one from Brandon.
Is that it, Brandon?
No, it's it starts that way, but then I warn people. I'm like, listen, I'm about to come out myself. Come out myself.
Yeah, mine has a directive. I see. Now wait a minute, okay? Because what you're not gonna do is, and then you get a hand motion too. What you're not gonna do is, and then I proceed to tell you what you're not gonna do and why that is.
Oh, I like to just mom people and become terribly passive aggressive and make them feel bad so they shut up. I've gotten really good at it too.
Manipulation, got it.
Well, are we talking like through text or in person? Because through text, like if I'm upset or you say something that's just like throwing me off, I'll be like, okay. And I won't, like, that's it, just okay. And then most people understand, they'll be like, what's wrong or what's going on. But if it's in person, oh, it's a different situation. That's why I got to ask.
Happens in person.
Oh no, you get eye rolls. I just, a lot of attitude, okay?
I'm with D.
You guys ready to play? I got a game to play. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Krista.
Oh no, I was just I'm not that confrontational. I pretty much say okay in text and in person, and then I walk away.
We're good. I know Krista and John don't have one. They're just too nice.
Oh, see?
Least resistance.
And I used to be that way. And the older I get, I'm like, oh no, I'm leaning all the way. This is funny.
All right, we're going to play a game, and this was basically the Jeopardy teen tournament entry questions, and they're easy ones to get. So you don't have to answer in the form of a question, but what I do need you guys to do is to patiently raise your hand if you know the answer. Don't scream it out loud. You ready to go?
Let's do it.
I'm ready to scream. I'm ready to scream.
Yeah. So the category is E before I, which should be your help for your thing. So a pale brown color, E before I.
Ooh.
Felicia.
Beige.
Beige. Let's find. Oh, I spelled that wrong.
I spelled wrong. And I got one too before you. Wait.
She got it. She got it. It's beige. All right. Category is Dwayne Johnson. Channeling his Pacific Island heritage, Dwayne was the voice of Maui in this animated movie.
Moana.
You're supposed to raise your hand. Be called on.
Yeah,
Brandon.
play the rules, Brandon.
Amy, your buzzer got it.
Excited.
You
How do you
lost your
spell
point.
that?
You're -1, Brandon.
I'll get it back.
MOANA.
Okay, let's just make sure we're right. I want to follow this game. You guys are like the worst at game shows ever. I am the host. Follow the rules. The category is a gap year. I do not answer until I call on you. In 1888, James Keeler discovered a gap in this planet's A-ring. Brandon.
Saturn.
Saturn is his guess, which is, that makes sense. It has rings. Other planets do too, but it was Saturn. Nice job, Brandon. All right, category, in the TV room. On this series, Lorelei and Rory lived in a quirky town of Stars Hollow, Connecticut. Amy, you buzzed in. You got to answer.
Oh, I blanked on it because I know the name, and then I was like, no, wait.
Anyone else?
It sounds familiar, but I think we're a little too young.
No, it's the mom and the daughter. It's just the two of them, and
you don't know where to go.
Let's find out. Oh, that wasn't right. We'll have to look that up. I give
Oh,
up.
there's the I give up. Yeah, I give up.
Gilmore Girls.
Oh, see, Rory, we should have known. We should have known, guys.
What food is that? T-bone or porterhouse? Amy.
Steak.
Yeah.
I feel like my internet's too slow.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, blame it on that.
All right. Teens on TV. During all his teenage years, Rico Rodriguez had a pretty good job as Manny Delgado on this ABC sitcom. Krista.
Is it, I don't know, is it Modern Family? Isn't there someone on
Modern Family is her guess, and it is.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. It's not.
No, it is.
It is?
It is. You got it.
Oh my God.
Yay.
Oh, and let's note, Krista gets extra points because she answered the question with a question.
Yes.
Is that how it works?
Jeopardy champion.
Jeopardy.
Wait, is
All
that
right.
it? I like more. I want more.
Yeah, well, we're going to shift gears here to a different game too. A little bit more visual for everyone at home. So this is 15 U.S. landmarks. All you have to do is tell me the state you can find them in. So go.
California.
Yeah, this one's you're just going to yell on out. What is this one?
Philadelphia.
Pennsylvania is the state, guys. The state. The state.
That was implied.
Here we go.
New York.
New York, yes. How about this one?
North Dakota.
What are you saying, Felicia?
North Dakota.
You sure about that?
I mean, South Dakota?
It's South Dakota, I think. Yeah. I mean, you had it down to. No, I'm going to be really embarrassed if I'm wrong. No, it is South Dakota. Sorry. All right, what about this one?
Nevada. Any Dakota.
Yeah, Amy's got it. Nevada. Nevada. Sorry, this is the Hoover Dam. All right, here. Come on.
California.
Chicago.
How about this one?
New York.
New York. How about this one?
Arizona.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about this one?
St. Louis.
Missouri.
Missouri. State. How about this one?
Toronto.
Washington.
Is that?
Hold
Oh
on.
no,
First of
Washington.
all,
Washington.
Deanna, you said Toronto first, which is a city in another country.
Nevada.
This
They
is
have a needle too. They do have a
No,
needle.
I'm out. It's
Seattle,
half
Washington.
the image. It's half the image. It's literally like I can't see anything.
Yeah.
But doesn't Toronto have something that looks pointy like that?
Las Vegas does.
The CN Tower is what it's called.
Stratosphere in Las Vegas.
The point is, you all were wrong. So yeah.
I said Washington, right?
All right. Well, Brandon got it right then.
Yeah.
So
That one was a little easier. You know, I love my games. It's hard to, with all the people and everyone's yelling out loud. And we had Bill answer Gilmore Girls first, and Emmanuel just answered Washington. He got it before all you got it, and we appreciate everyone for playing along too.
yes. All right. We're going to wrap this up for the day because frankly, I think everyone's had enough of all of us.
That's Amy's.
Everyone, you mean you.
You've never seen Amy
Never.
want to get back to her kids faster than today, right?
Friday.
Yes.
Yeesh.
Okay, on Monday, we have a whole weekend, you guys. I hope you go out there and enjoy it. On Monday at 9, we're going to be talking to Dr. Stacy Lott from the Clarity Clinic about dealing with the pandemic trauma and isolation. This will be a good conversation to have.
Then at 10 o'clock, we're going to be, during the 10 o'clock hour, this is actually at 11:30. Kel started a Netflix dating show, Too Hot to Handle. Now he's using his platform for Black Lives Matter. So we're going to talk to him about his poetry and his activism on social media.
And at 11:45, 14-year-old Cuban-American actress Julia Garcia is going to talk about her role as a young girl with ADD on Disney Channel's Sydney to the Max. A great conversation to have there. Everyone, it's going to be a gorgeous weekend outside. Obviously, maintain all the rules. We've come a long way. Let's not break anything or do anything stupid. Have a safe weekend as well. A healthy one at that, and find some joy too this weekend and do something good for your community. And Amy's saying, "Shut up, John," and I will.
I'm just dancing because you can just keep talking. I don't care.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.